Welcome to the deep dive. We take things that look dense, maybe even a bit dry, and we try to unpack them, find the compelling stuff inside. Now, I know annual report doesn't exactly scream excitement, does it? Usually signals maybe time for a quick nap. But honestly, today's deep dive into the ITC India Limited Annual Report 2025. It's anything but boring. This isn't just numbers on a page. It's a real window into how one of India's biggest, most influential companies thinks and operates. A company that touches almost every part of daily life there. So our mission today, go beyond the surface, pull out the key insights, the important bits, and make this whole complex thing accessible, interesting, and hopefully genuinely useful for you.
Exactly. We're not just, reading off a list. We're digging into ITC's financial performance, which is pretty remarkable. And their strategic moves, too. They're navigating some rapid changes, both globally and locally. Plus, the innovation, it's happening across such a wide range of businesses. We're talking FMCG, sure, but also agri-tech, packaging, really cutting-edge stuff. And crucially, we'll get into their commitment to sustainability and social impact. That triple bottom line idea, it's core to who they are.
Right. So much more than just profit and loss. It's about seeing how a massive company like this can adapt, how it leads, and how it actually contributes back. We think you'll find some surprising facts, maybe a few aha moments. Ready to get into it?
The strategic compass and financial resilience of ITC.
Okay, first things first. Let's just appreciate the sheer scale here. ITC isn't just diversified, it's incredibly diversified. A real conglomerate. You've got the fast-moving consumer goods, and that's a huge category. Cigarettes, cigars, foods, personal care, stationery, matches, agarbatis, it goes on. Then there's paperboards, paper packaging, and a massive Agri Business, all headquartered out of Kolkata.
And when you start digging into the financials for this latest report for FY 2024-25, what really jumps out is their financial resilience. It's quite strong. Look at the overall profit after tax. It hit 35,195.61 crores. Now, for perspective, a crore is 10 million rupees, so that's what? Over 4.2 billion US dollars. That's a really substantial increase from the 20,421.97 crores the year before. And their total comprehensive income also up significantly, 34,266.23 crores compared to 22,703.03 crores. Shareholders are seeing it too. There's a recommended final dividend of 7.85 per share. That brings the total dividend for the year to 14.35 per share, which is, a nice little bump from 13.75 last year. What does that signal to you, beyond just the big numbers?
Those are solid figures, definitely. Shows healthy growth and, a clear commitment back to shareholders. But like you said, it's not just the numbers, it's the strategy behind them. The report talks a lot about their ITC Next strategy. And it's not just jargon, it sounds like a serious plan to stay competitive, particularly with how fast digital is changing everything. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The big portfolio changes. The report confirms it. They've demerged the hotels business into a separate company, ITC Hotels Limited. That happened January 1st, 2025. I mean, that's not a minor adjustment. That's a major structural shift. Why do that? What's the thinking there? And then on the other side, they've been busy buying things, value accretive acquisitions, they call them. You've got Stresta Natural Bio Products. They do the 24 mantra organic foods, Mother's Posh Baby Care, Ample Foods with brands like Prozuma and Mitigo, clearly targeting these high-growth, future-facing areas. Oh, and also planning to buy Century Pulp and Paper from Aditya Birla Real Estate. That's a big deal too, up to 3,500 crores. Expected in about 6 months, it says.
Yeah, if you piece all that together, shedding a big asset like hotels while buying into these newer, faster-growing areas, it paints a pretty clear picture. ITC is actively reshaping itself. They're optimizing the whole portfolio for what's coming next. The demerger, for instance. Well, it lets both ITC and the new hotels company focus more sharply, right? Separate strategies, maybe attract different kinds of investment, unlock different valuations. And the acquisitions, they're like a fast track into these hot markets, organic food, baby care, premium meats, things consumers are clearly leaning towards. You look at the financial health supporting this too. The current ratio is 3.03. Return on capital employed is a very strong 38.79% based on continuing operations for FY25. So they have the financial muscle to make these kinds of bold moves.
Deep dive into diverse business segments, innovation, and market presence.
Okay, that gives us a really good sense of the strategy and the financial engine. So how does this play out on the ground across all these different businesses? Let's zoom in a bit. How are they innovating? What's happening with their market presence?
Right, let's start with FMCG Others. Just that segment alone brought in nearly 22,000 crores in revenue. What's striking is how focused they are on the consumer. And the innovation pipeline, it's huge. Over 100 new products launched just this past year. And it's not just throwing things at the wall. They're really leveraging their R&D hub, the Life Sciences and Technology Center, or LSTC. They're creating products that meet specific needs: health, nutrition, hygiene, convenience, even indulgence. You see it with brands like Ashirwad Salt pushing its iodine-assured message, or Sunrise Masala strengthening its grip in the East. Dark Fantasy Biscuits keep running that Big Fantasies campaign. They've also refreshed their drinks portfolio, actually jumping into ethnic drinks like Buttermilk, Lassi, Buttermilk under the Ashirwad brand, plus new Dark Fantasy milkshakes. And this is interesting, a new brand called Right Shift. It's specifically for consumers over 40, offering nutrition-dense stuff using natural ingredients, some proprietary to LSTC. And underpinning all this, they now have 11 of these massive integrated consumer goods manufacturing and logistics facilities, IC mills, up and running.
What's the advantage there?
Oh, the ICMLs are definitely a game changer for them. It means getting fresher products to the shelves, faster, much more agility in their supply chain makes a huge difference. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, maybe. The cigarettes business. It's still what many people think of first with ITC. They're still the leader there, no doubt, driven by that whole seed-to-smoke control they have and constant innovation. But the report is quite blunt about the challenges. It mentions a punitive and discriminatory taxation regulatory regime, says it's created real hurdles over the years. There's a slight positive note, though. A recent stability in taxes apparently has let them claw back some volume lost to the illicit trade. And here's a stat that really makes you think. Put India's cigarette taxes in context. Per 2,000 cigarettes, the tax is 5.71% of India's per capita GDP. Now compare that. USA is 0.40%, UK 2.75%. Even China is only 1.50%. That's a massive difference. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the wider economic effects of taxes being that high? On the industry, sure, but also on government revenue, illicit markets, public health. It's complex. They also mention using Industry 4.0, data science and manufacturing. And their factories in places like Bengaluru, Pune, Munger keep winning awards for operational excellence.
That tax comparison really does put it in perspective, yeah. Okay, switching gears completely, the agri business. Hugely important for India, obviously. What ITC is doing with ITC MAers, that's their meta market for advanced agriculture and rural services, is, well, it sounds genuinely groundbreaking. It's not just an app, it's what they call phygital. So digital tools combined with real, on-the-ground support, and the scale is just immense. Over 2.1 million farmers covered, more than 2,000 farmer producer organizations, FPOs, across 11 states, 18,000 villages. Wow. The tools in the app sound quite sophisticated too. AI and machine learning for climate-smart crop advice, generative AI and local language, even voice-enabled, satellite data, image recognition for pests, and they claim real impact from their climate-smart agriculture program. It covers over 3.1 million acres. They're seeing cost reductions up to 21%, yield improvements up to 8%, and farmer incomes rising by up to 23%. I mean, that's direct livelihood improvement. They're also diversifying exports, things like shrimp, medicinal extracts like ashwagandha, turmeric, and promoting millets too, which fits with national priorities.
That's incredible impact, connecting tech right down to the farm level. Okay, what about paperboards and specialty papers and packaging? Sounds like they're pushing digital transformation there too. Using industrial IoT, AML for efficiency, and interestingly for decarbonization. And on sustainability, their Padarichala mill has a new high-pressure recovery boiler. Apparently, it cuts coal use by about 25%, helps the business get over 50% of its energy from renewables. And the packaging itself is getting smarter. Their Enough Pack campaign has things like BioSeal, a compostable coating, OxyBlock, a recyclable barrier, even a germ-free coating. These aren't just lab ideas either. They're winning international awards like World Star and Asia Star. What does that signal for the wider industry?
It definitely signals a big push towards packaging that's sustainable but also functional, smart. Consumer pressure, regulations. ITC seems to be leading, not just following here. And we shouldn't forget the other segments quickly. Education and Stationery Classmate is still leading despite tough competition. They're doing interesting things like Classmate All-Rounder for holistic learning, even digital games with Edu Games Infinity. Mangaldeep Bhagwatis, they had that Dil Se Karobat by Gwan K Saf campaign. And strategically, they're focusing on sourcing more bamboo locally, reducing imports. And their distribution network is vast, reaching almost 7 million shops, a third of them directly. They're even using generative AI for efficiency and have tripled the number of EV trips for deliveries. Greener logistics, too.
The triple bottom line: people, planet, and prosperity.
So we've seen the financials, the strategy, the innovation across businesses. But what really seems to set ITC apart, or at least what they emphasize heavily, is this triple bottom line idea. People, planet, profit. It sounds good, but how real is it? How deeply is it actually embedded in what they do?
Oh, it seems very deeply embedded. It really feels like the foundation for their long-term thinking. Let's start with planet. Their Sustainability 2.0 vision isn't just talk, there are concrete achievements. Nearly 52% renewable energy share in FY25. They actually beat their 2030 target of 50% already. They've got over 174 milliW of solar and wind installed. And this, I find quite amazing. Plastic neutrality. For the third year running, they collected and managed more plastic waste, 76,000 tons, than they use in their packaging. That's largely driven by programs like Wow Wellbeing Out of Waste. It covers over 7.5 million households now, diverting 87% of the waste they collect away from landfills. Incredible. Water stewardship, too. Water positive for over 20 years now, replenishing more than they use. Their watershed projects cover over 1.8 million acres, saving potentially over 1,400 million kiloliters of water. 9 of their sites have the top AWS Platinum certification for water stewardship, and they're leaders in green building, 17 buildings with platinum ratings. This isn't just CSR checkbox ticking, it feels integral to how they operate, securing resources for the long run.
That is comprehensive on the environment side. Very forward-looking. So what about the people aspect of that triple bottom line, the social impact? They say they support nearly 9 million sustainable livelihoods through their whole value chain, aiming for 10 million by 2030. That's a huge number. They talk about nurturing talent, wanting future-ready world-class talent, even preneurs. And their employee surveys sound pretty positive. 96% feeling proud, 94% believing in the goals, 94% optimistic. What specific programs are driving this, especially the livelihood numbers?
Well, their Skilling of Youth program stands out. They've trained about 1.27 lakh young people overall. That's 127,000. Over 15,000 just last year. And importantly, almost 52% are women. And 86% get placed in jobs or become self-employed, earning an average of over 10,000 a month initially. That's tangible impact. Then there's women empowerment. Financial literacy for over 3.8 million women. The Ashirvad Raho Forkadem Age program teaching food processing skills. In one specific program for the very poor, 87% of women surveyed said they were earning over $10,000 a month after the intervention. That's life-changing stuff. They're also very active in health and nutrition. The Savlon Swasth India mission promoting hand washing, winning awards, maternal and child health initiatives reaching over 1.5 million people. And a really neat example, an eye care project in Saharanpur using mobile vision units. Screened over 176,000 people, helped arrange over 1,000 cataract surgeries, plus support for education, helping kids get back to school, training Anganwadi workers. It's very extensive. It feels woven into the fabric of the business.
Woven in. That seems key. Which brings up governance. How does all this environmental and social commitment connect back to how the company is actually run? Is it just good PR, or is it built into their core?
It definitely seems built into the core.
Yeah.
Their whole governance philosophy is based on trusteeship, transparency, ethical citizenship. That's the language they use. They emphasize strong internal controls, risk management, which makes sense, right? You need that solid foundation to deliver on these big triple bottom line goals. For example, cybersecurity, very relevant today. They've adopted a zero trust architecture, something called ITC Digibond for secure network connections. Protecting data is crucial. And they also specifically mention human rights due diligence. They've run training and awareness programs in hundreds of villages, 484 villages covering farm safety, child labor awareness, fair treatment, things directly relevant to their supply chains. So yeah, it looks like a very holistic approach where being ethical and impactful isn't separate from strategy, it is part of the strategy.
Oh, sure. So wrapping this up.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway for you listening? This deep dive into ITC's 2025 report shows a company that's much more than just tobacco or hotels or biscuits. It's this dynamic, constantly evolving giant, deeply connected to India's economy, yes, but also its social fabric. Always seems to be reinventing itself.
Absolutely. We've seen the financial strength, that clear ITC Next strategy driving change, the sheer diversity and innovation across all those businesses, FMCG, agri-tech, sustainable packaging. And underpinning it all, that really strong, demonstrable commitment to sustainability and social impact. That triple bottom line isn't just a slogan for them, it seems. You know, from high-tech farming solutions helping millions to being plastic neutral to empowering women, their reach is just vast, really multifaceted.
It really is. Which leaves us with maybe a final thought to chew on. Given ITC's very comprehensive way of creating value, and you're blending these old school industries with really new innovation, plus these huge social and environmental programs, what can other big companies learn from this? Especially diversified companies in other fast-developing economies. What lessons are there in this model of enduring value as they try to stay relevant and make an impact in the future? Definitely gives us something to mull over. Thank you for diving deep with us today.